Wine and Crime contains graphic and explicit content which may not be suitable for some viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
All right. You are listening to Wine and Crime, the podcast where three friends chug wine, chat true crime, and unleash their worst Minnesotan accents.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Amanda, you doing okay over there?
I'm fine.
What happened?
I
You
took
spill?
a really big gulp of my water and it came out my mouth.
Yep.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. It resurfaced.
Ooh.
Which
Came
is-
back up.
Came back up, which is a link to our. I'm doing fine. My brain is firing.
You're nailing it.
To our very special Gals Pick topic this week, brought to you by us. And that topic is resurrection crime.
Hell yes.
So
And
seasonal.
who are we?
Oh, fuck it. I'm Kenyan.
I'm Lucy.
I'm Amanda. And
We're
my
all
low
doing
blood sugar
great.
alarm is going off. But I
Amanda's
don't trust
body
it.
is beeping. I really want to be in bed.
Right.
I feel fine.
I'm good.
Lucy's doing great.
Everybody at home, just fucking deal with it.
We're going to lube up. We're going to get some booze in us, and we're going to be feeling great.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, resurrection. Yeah,
Mhm,
we did this because of, that old chestnut Easter.
That's how we celebrate Easter. We're devout
Yeah, super devout.
resurrectionists.
And I
I-
totally understand Easter and what Lent is.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. I give up meth for Lent every year.
and Ash Wednesday makes
The scariest
perfect
day of the
sense.
year.
Even though
Mhm.
nobody was burned, I don't think. I don't really know.
It's
I
like
don't know.
it's like an anointing.
Okay.
It's an annoying anointing.
It is.
So nobody was burned at the stake.
No.
No.
I mean, there was a burning bush. I'm
And,
gonna Google
and
it.
Lent, the 40 days?
I'm
What
I'm
is
looking
the
it up right now so I
deal
don't get it
with
wrong.
Ash Wednesday.
Because Jesus was in the cave
For 3 days.
3 days. Was his corpse in the cave?
We'll get to the crucifixion and the resurrection, obviously.
Ash Wednesday, officially known as the Day of Ashes, is a day of repentance when Christians confess their sins and profess their devotion to God. During a mass, a priest places ashes. Oh God, where did it go? On
That's
your
what-
forehead
that's
in the
what
shape
they
of a
said.
cross, acknowledging sin. It's also a time Catholics fast. 6-week Lenten period culminates with Easter, when Christians believe Jesus died and was resurrected. This year, Ash Wednesday falls on March 2nd, which sort of already happened.
Lent is 6 weeks?
I guess.
Yeah. Lent is 40 days.
The Catholics take everything too far.
Yeah.
But
The
that's
repentance.
not how long Jesus was dead.
No.
Jesus was dead for 3 days.
Okay. All right, whatever. We'll get to it. But first, Amanda, what is our wine crime pairing for resurrection crimes?
Well, I Googled fun Easter cocktails
Yep.
because what's better to go with your salted hams than a nice kick in the pants cocktail?
Mm-hmm.
And I did see, originally I saw a really fun one that's like a Saint Germain spritz that I think, Kenyon, you would love. It's
I do
basically
love some
Prosecco, Saint Germain, sparkling water, ice, and cucumber.
Oh, yeah.
So good. But I didn't have all of the ingredients for that. I have Saint Germain. Yes, I know. It's my alarm going off. Sorry.
Feed
Yeah.
it, Saint Germain.
We're good. I have Saint Germain and I have Prosecco, but I didn't have cucumber. So I really wanted to make something that I had all of the ingredients for. So I instead, and I feel like this fits even better in like a blood of Christ type situation.
Pickle juice?
No,
Oh.
I made a blood orange Prosecco spritz.
Yum.
Ooh, yum.
Yeah,
that
she's
sounds good.
gorge. So I juiced a blood orange, saving one slice for garnish. And then I filled my tumbler with ice. and filled it with prosecco to about here, and then I topped it off with Grand Marnier, a little bit of like orange liqueur.
Yum.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a bloody taste or take on a mimosa. It's like a blood orange mimosa, but fresh juice with a little topper, a little float of Grand Marnier.
Sounds delicious.
It's gorgeous too. Look how pretty it turned out.
Beautiful. Very
So
springy.
pretty. Yeah. So I haven't tried it yet. I think it's going to be good.
It's not going to not be good.
It's not going to not be good. So cheers, everyone.
Cheers.
And let us pray.
So no
Cheers.
pop or crack today, but you'll survive.
I know. I could have popped.
And if you don't, may you come back.
Yeah, I could have popped the Prosecco, but she really struggled with me. I'd had it in my fridge for a while, so I think the cork just really settled in. But it hadn't been opened yet. It had nice fizz, so I'm thinking it's going to be delicious. Here we go. Okay, I'm amazing. Fuck, that is so good.
Nice.
I'm incredible.
Well done.
Nice.
All right, Lucy.
She is risen.
Praise be to me.
Praise be to me.
Her BAC has risen.
Yes.
So, Lucy, what is our background and maybe psych
There
for
better be psych.
resurrection crimes?
Well, you could interpret it as psych.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so resurrection is the rising from the dead of a divine or human being who still retains his own personhood or individuality, though the body may or may not be changed.
So it's not reincarnation.
It is not the same as reincarnation. The belief in the resurrection of the body is usually associated with Christianity because of the doctrine of the resurrection of Christ. We'll get to it. But it also is associated with later Judaism, which provides basic ideas that were expanded in Christianity and Islam. There were several various religious beliefs in the resurrections of divine beings and also the immortality of the soul, but a literal raising from the dead in like a zombie fashion wasn't really a thing outside of the Bible.
Got it.
So the Old Testament talks a couple of times about righteous Israelites rising from the dead. And then we also have Jesus Christ.
Superstar.
Yep. So I'll start off by saying I'm an atheist, but I was raised Catholic. So I still have an appreciation for the Bible and all those stories. I have a personal background with Christianity, but I don't personally take biblical stories literally, and that includes the resurrection of Jesus Christ. Sorry, people. I just don't believe it.
That's okay. No
Sorry
need
about
to
it.
apologize to us.
Everybody's got their own beliefs.
Yep.
I feel like there is just a lot of room for error in translations over time and in different cultures and contexts when it comes to stories from the Bible. But since the resurrection of Christ is the cornerstone of Christianity, I will suspend most of my disbelief for today.
Anyone who believes that the Bible is the literal word of a divine being needs to attempt to translate like one poem
Yeah.
from one language to another language.
Needs to take an entry-level Bible lit course.
Or just like, yeah, it's like it's been through too many iterations for it to be a literal anything.
Yeah.
Yep.
She's a mess.
We'll get to it also. I'm also going to note here that there were not a whole hell of a lot of credible sources for my notes when I
You don't say.
Googled resurrection of Jesus Christ or like scientific evidence for resurrection of Jesus Christ. So my first source is from the Christian Broadcast Network, or CBN. And if you are questioning how reliable this source is, you can call their 800 number and get someone to pray for you.
For the small fee of
That's amazing.
in 3 installments of
Several
Should I call
pop-ups
it,
asking
like,
for
right
money.
now?
No, don't. Don't waste anyone's time.
more money.
So the title of this article is Cold Case Investigator Turns to Science to Disprove Christ's Resurrection, gets shocked by the evidence.
Oh, wow. There's nothing clickbaity about this. I can't wait.
No.
Cold, hard fact.
So the gist of this article is there's a quote-unquote cold case detective named J. Warner Wallace, and I Googled him. His Wikipedia lists him as an American homicide detective and Christian apologist.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's not good to be an anything apologist,
No.
but a Christian apologist sounds particularly bad.
Next level.
Yeah. So he decides to use his skills to investigate claims about the crucifixion and resurrection of Jesus Christ. So I've pulled a couple gems from this article.
Okay.
And just the language. It like honestly, I don't feel like it takes a lot of like critical thought to identify an article that is biased in any way. Like
It
I don't know.
shouldn't.
Like you see that pyramid of like news, like reliable news sources. There's like
Right.
left wing and right wing, and it's like, yeah, look at the language they use. I don't know. I just hate it. Okay. So this article says, for years, some doubters clung to one theory that Jesus didn't actually die on the cross, but was just nearly dead and revived later.
I mean, probably.
Well,
That
we
makes sense.
I just don't care. I don't know.
I know.
that
I
wrong?
guess I don't really
I just
care either.
don't care.
Honestly, I don't
We
really
have
either.
bigger fish to fry. It's
No,
like I
I'm-
so much
I'm
would
with
rather
you.
like
bigger loaves and
try-
fishes to fry.
do.
And I'm allergic to fish.
Yeah.
So it's not for me.
No, this is
not
this is
for
rough territory for you. I get it.
It's all right. It's okay.
You're doing great.
But we did take that Bible lit class in high school, and it was
Unfortunately.
interesting.
I didn't get that much out of it.
Okay, but there were not many atheists at our school,
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
so there were a lot of Christians whose minds were fucking blown.
Yeah, that was entertaining.
Yeah. I just liked the class. I mean, I liked Sophie's World. I liked the books we read. I liked The Alchemist.
The
Barabbas.
entertainment of the Christ.
Barabbas. Yeah, but we talked about this theory also that he wasn't actually dead and that the tomb he was laid in was like on a slight incline. So like the blood was going back to his brain as he laid there.
Maybe.
And like there was,
sure.
I don't know. We went through this whole thing and I thought it was interesting at the time, but like it's just kind of whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just don't care.
I just don't care. Okay. Apologist Wallace points out that when you work with dead bodies all the time, like he has, and people in Christ's time did, you can definitely tell dead from nearly dead. Quote, as a homicide detective, I'm thinking, I've seen a lot of dead people, and I know what dead people look like, he said, and then talked about something called the mortis triad. That hot blood's gonna stop circulating. You're gonna cool down. That's called algor mortis, he stated. You'll be cool to the touch. And we can actually judge time of death based on how cool.
Yeah, but they couldn't in the year fucking
1.
0 or
Yeah.
whatever. 33, whatever.
Time of death, for sure. You couldn't tell this.
No,
then,
they
but-
didn't have a strong understanding. They could barely tell if you were dead or just in a coma in the 1800s.
True.
Well,
we'll get to
He
it.
goes on. This is something I've seen my entire career. There's a thing called rigor mortis. It's the second of the mortis triad, and you'll see that kind of stiffness. You won't be as flexible as you would if you were just unconscious. And Warner finds in the Gospel of John a key point of proof that Jesus wasn't faking it and that he really did die. A line about blood and water coming out of Jesus' body on the cross when a Roman soldier pierced him with a spear. He says, water will collect in your lungs. Now, if that happens, if you pierce that cavity, you will see a separation of blood and water.
Of church and state.
Okay, well, that's gross. But also, if you pierce someone with a spear and they're still alive, they're going to bleed a lot. And if you pierce them with a spear when they're like soup's dead, like maybe some blood will come out, but they're not going to like actively bleed.
I don't know why water would collect in your lungs if you weren't drowning.
Yeah.
Like, what does that even mean? Water will collect in your lungs.
Maybe it wasn't water. Who the fuck knows? They didn't know anything.
Kenyon's so mad about it.
Sorry.
I love
We're going to get so many emails because, like, I can't.
They didn't know anything.
They didn't. They thought everything was made of 4 humors.
Foreskin.
This was way before the 4 humors.
Yeah.
No, the 4 humors was, like, in ancient times and then carried through and then, like, really believed in like, medieval times. But it started in, like, fucking ancient Greece.
I was thinking of medieval.
Yeah.
Either way, it doesn't matter. It struck Wallace powerfully that John wrote of this, saying, quote from, this was Wallace, the apologist. He was either so clever that he included some little-known biological fact that no one would discover for 1,800 years, or he just reported what he saw. And as a result, we have a good... I hate this so much. We have a good piece of hidden science that confirms that Jesus actually died of cardiac arrest and was dead at the point of the body being taken off the cross. We'll get to it. I put my feelings at the end of this, but...
Okay.
Just for clarification about who took him off the cross and whatnot, mostly for Kenyon's sake. So this is from the BBC /The Bible /John 1938 through 42. After these things, Joseph of Arimathea, who was a disciple of Jesus, though a secret one because of his fear of the Jews, asked Pilate, Pontius Pilate, Pilates, to let him take away the body of Jesus. Pilates gave him permission, so he came and removed the body.
I can't with Pilates.
Before his next session.
On his water break.
Oh, God.
Nicodemus, who had at first come to Jesus by night, also came, bringing a mixture of myrrh and aloes, weighing about 100 pounds. Did they measure in pounds?
Thanks, Nick.
Yeah, seriously.
Thanks for all. What am I supposed to do with the myrrh and the aloe?
God.
Oh, it's not edible? Okay.
100 pounds. Why
How
is the
far did
Bible
you
talking
drag
about
this?
100 pounds?
Yeah. They
They
definitely didn't measure.
pounds?
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
They took the body of Jesus and wrapped it in the spices and linen cloths according to the burial custom of the Jews. Now there was a garden in the place where he was crucified, and in the garden there was a new tomb in which no one had ever been laid. And so, because it was the Jewish day of preparation and the tomb was nearby, they laid Jesus there. So that's from the Bible, allegedly. Back to this dubious CBN article. The apologist says, there were 100 and some pounds of encasement of aromatic spices and gumming of cement consistency around his body, wrapped tightly in 3 separate linen cloths, weighing about 117 pounds. Okay.
So they
Crushed it?
created goo and wrapped him up in goo and swaddled him and embalmed him?
Apparently, yes. I
Oh,
don't
okay.
understand.
Gross. Okay.
So Christ was encased in that and it becomes hardened. Second, how would he be able to move in such a state like that and also be able to roll the 1.5 to 2 ton stone?
Sure.
Because there was a big rock in the way of
Covering the door.
Right.
Covering the door.
Whatever. Because he was ripped.
He was fucking so swole, dude. Fucking
So-
swole as fuck.
Another theory is that some of his disciples came and stole his body out of the tomb, but the tomb was being guarded by 16 soldiers.
Why?
And the apologist says, well, any investigator knows that the more people involved in a conspiracy, the higher the chance that someone will spill the beans, so that's not likely. And that because Jesus showed up in front of 500 people later, they couldn't all have been hallucinating.
Yes, they could. Mass hysteria. It actually is more likely that they were all hallucinating together.
Well, how do they all know what the fuck he looked like, for sure?
Somebody said, hey, look.
There's Jesus.
It's Jesus. And nobody, they didn't fucking know.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Don't be. I personally think it is absurd to assume that there are reliable eyewitness testimony to be found in the Bible. We don't or shouldn't trust eyewitness testimony in modern court cases today.
We barely do.
Like the psychology behind just assuming that there's rock hard evidence because it says it in the Bible, this eyewitness testimony.
Yeah.
That's completely absurd.
That was written by multiple people 300 to
translated-
600 years later.
Yeah, multiple times. It's like
So-
a giant game of telephone, misogynistic telephone.
My next sentence. The New Testament was likely not written by Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John about their firsthand accounts.
John, Paul, George, Ringo.
This is from history.com. For more than a century, scholars have generally agreed that the Gospels, like many of the books of the New Testament, were not actually written by the people to whom they are attributed. In fact, it seems clear that the stories that form the basis of Christianity were first communicated orally and passed down from generation to generation before they were collected and written down. God knows I exaggerate. Like, I can only imagine what generations of bored people across a huge geographical swath would manage to come up with.
Right. Who like are clinging to answers for anything because science doesn't exist.
And zombie Jesus, frankly, just makes for a better story.
Yeah.
Well, it makes him sound more special.
It's the only thing that really differentiates him from a million other
Every other
holy people.
Yeah.
Holy
God
person,
or
miracle
holy
worker.
person. Yep.
Yep.
Because that like imagery, not the zombie Jesus imagery, but like the person of God, the conduit, like the holy figure that transcends like every culture that exists everywhere.
Yep.
This is just a different version of the same shit that we have been worshiping. And
There were already tons of stories.
building community around for fucking millennia.
There were tons of stories of a god, impregnating a human woman and giving birth to a demigod. Like
It's
that
in
was
dozens of other religions.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
like
it's
not
fucking everywhere.
It's not original.
It's not special. Yeah. You're not special, Jesus.
Where do
gonna
the
get
eggs
so
and
many
the
emails.
bunnies come in?
Yeah, get to the eggs.
That has nothing to do with resurrection.
I know, but I genuinely do not know where the fuck that came from.
Well, I didn't research that for
on
resurrection
it.
crimes.
Okay.
I'm so sorry.
Well, you should be.
Okay, so speaking of Jesus Christ's resurrection, you may have heard about the Shroud of Turin, aka the Holy Shroud. So this is from Wikipedia. This is a length of linen cloth bearing the negative image of a man. I have some photos on the drive of it because I forget how cool looking it is. It looks like tie-dye, like an iCat pattern.
Also, while you're looking at the drive, this says, quote, early Christians in Mesopotamia dyed eggs in the period after Easter. The practice was adopted by the Orthodox churches, and from there it spread into Western Europe. Eggs represent new life and rebirth, and it's thought that this ancient custom was absorbed into Easter celebrations.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
What about the
makes
rabbit?
sense.
The rabbit.
I don't know. That's Hallmark, probably.
I think that's just a springtime thing.
Where did the Easter bunny come from?
There's
The
lots
North Pole.
Lots of rabbits in the spring because they're fucking like
According to
rabbits.
some sources, the Easter Bunny first arrived in America in the 1700s with German immigrants who settled in Pennsylvania and transported their tradition of an egg-laying hare called Osterhase or Osterhaus. Their children made nests in which this creature could lay its colored eggs. Of course, it's German.
The Germans
Are
come
the
up with all of the
wildest.
like weird but catchy
I know.
holiday traditions.
Krampus.
Like
I know.
Christmas tree.
Krampus. Yeah. I'm here
Yeah.
for it. God bless the Germans.
Yeah.
Pennsylvania Dutch Christmas.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, back to the Shroud of Turin. Some describe the image as depicting Jesus of Nazareth and believe the fabric is the burial shroud in which he was wrapped after crucifixion. I gotta say,
It still has his makeup on it.
It does look like a face.
I don't doubt that it's a face, but how many fucking people were crucified like
Right.
throughout history? Come
Right.
on. And they probably all had long hair and a beard because they were
Yeah.
in prison for God knows how long before they were strapped up
Or
there.
not even just crucified, but just dead.
Yeah.
And wrapped in a shroud. Literally everyone.
So
Also, this guy looks way older than 33.
Yeah, I know that life was rough back then,
But
but
he's like at least in his mid-60s.
this rough, I have Q's and y'all do not have A's.
well, there are no A's because
Exactly.
this shroud was first mentioned in 1354. It was denounced in 1389 by the local bishop of Troyes as a fake. Currently, the Catholic Church neither formally endorses nor rejects the shroud, and in 2013, Pope Francis referred to it as an icon of a man scourged and crucified. Thanks for being specific.
Right. It's someone who
There
probably
are
did this.
Just a lot of holy relics out there. And I encourage everyone to check out, what is it? Like Medieval Peasant? What's his thing on TikTok? That guy.
Oh, the guy with the hats?
Yes.
I love him.
There's
Oh,
an
he's
amazing TikTok account of this guy who loves hats and tassels and cosplays as a medieval peasant. And it's
Incredible.
Was
talks
that the
about
one you
holy
sent
relics.
the
Yep.
other day? And he's like, "Ooh, new batch of relics. This is
New
why
batch.
I became a nun."
Yes. He's so great.
He's
I
funny.
Just
love
holding bones. Like, I don't know what this is.
Are these ligaments? Oh, it's twine.
He's so great. There's just a ton of relics out there. Shards
yeah.
of Jesus's boxers or like
Yeah.
He was
yeah.
a brief guy.
Saint so-and-so's toenail.
Ugh.
Yeah.
So this
There
shroud,
better be relics of all of the toatoenails I have lost throughout my lifetime.
they're in your
Same.
couch.
Probably.
They're deep in your carpet. The shroud has been kept in the royal chapel of the Cathedral of Turin in northern Italy since 1578. So that's how it gets its name. In 1988, radiocarbon dating established that the shroud was actually from the Middle Ages between the years 1260 and 1390. All
Cool.
hypotheses put forward to challenge the radiocarbon dating have been scientifically refuted.
Womp,
It's not
womp.
Jesus. It's just not. It's pretty, though. I like the pattern.
Mm-hmm.
It's spooky.
It's very creepy.
So I just like to finish us out with a little
A prayer.
Nope, little more
Repentance.
nightmare fuel for you guys.
Oh, God. Okay.
So it's 2022 now. Why can't we resurrect people with technology yet?
yeah, that's a good damn question.
So this is from a bigthink.com article from 2020. Alexei Turchin, an author, life extensionist, and transhumanist researcher from Moscow, believes
Life extensionist. Okay.
believes artificial intelligence will eventually become so powerful that humans will be able to download themselves.
Yeah, this is what I want. It's San Bernardino, whatever, that episode of fucking Black Mirror.
Oh God, I don't know. Black Mirror freaks me out too much.
All the episodes
good.
sort of run together, if I'm being honest.
Uh,
Okay, so they
give it
can
a rewatch.
download themselves or at least the quantifiable information.
San Junipero. Sorry, go ahead.
The quantifiable information contained in their brains into computers and live forever. It will take a long time to develop that technology, anywhere from 100 to 600 years, according to
Boo.
Turchin. The he
I
says
want
the
Why invent that number? This technology will take between 100 and 600 years.
I think he's
so not
just
your
looking at
lifetime,
the
pal.
he's looking at the exponential abilities of AI
Okay.
year to year and
Yeah, probably
estimating
basing
what
it
it
off
would
of the
take.
growth. Yeah.
Because they don't know what the fuck that would take at this point.
Right.
It's too
Imagine,
far out
think
of our.
about what technology existed 600 years ago.
Right.
Really.
So he's probably basing it off of like the growth since the technological age kind of started
Yep.
that we've experienced.
So he says the development of AI is going rather fast, but we are still far away from being able to download a human into a computer. If we want to do it with a good probability of success, then you can count on the year 2600 to be sure.
Well,
Okay.
I'll look forward to that.
Yep. I'm
it
gonna
gets
get
creepier.
cryogenically frozen so that I can be downloaded. Continue.
Walt Disney. I don't want to be
Yep.
downloaded. Just fucking let me die. Am I that special? No.
No.
I am.
I gotta go.
Imagine
I
the software
am
updates.
absolutely that special.
All the pop-ups you'd have to deal with.
All the
I
pop-ups.
don't think it would be like that.
I just
All the
thanks.
ads. The
No,
ads
I
on
don't
the
want to deal with the
sidebars.
pop-ups.
Native
No.
advertising.
Meow.
No, the pop-ups, no. You know I get attacked.
The software updates.
But how would you know that a downloaded copy of yourself really was going to be you? Could it just be a convincing yet incomplete and fundamentally distinct representation of your brain?
Fine by me. If I don't know, I don't give a fuck.
But you would be that.
Fine.
If you
But you
believe that you're
wouldn't.
if you
There would
believe
just be a copy of you that would be that.
That's
we're getting into it, guys. We're getting into it. If you believe that your copy is not you, that implies that you believe there's something more to your identity than the currently quantifiable information contained within your brain and body, according to the researchers. In other words, your informational identity does not constitute your true identity. So in this,
Oh, sorry. Go.
I got a ways to go. It gets scarier.
This just reminds me of that show. There's a show on, I think, Apple TV called Severance. Have you guys seen it? It's with Adam Scott.
I have
don't
not
have
had
Apple
any
TV.
patience for Apple TV.
Oh, well, it's good. It's the concept is basically, and I'm not giving anything away, but the concept is that like people work at this big company and they can volunteer or like choose to have their brain like severed basically. And so when they're at work, like Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., they have just like a work consciousness and they have no access to their outside consciousness. And then when they leave work at 5 p.m., they have no access to their work consciousness.
Kind of like that.
Well,
I don't.
there are implications. But anyway, it's
don't like
really
that at all.
good.
It would make me more productive, tell
And
you what.
I know. And they call them, they're like innies and outies. So when they're like at work, they talk about they are the innies
Huh.
and they like wonder what their outies are like.
Oh
Weird.
my God. I don't think
Yeah.
I
So
like
they're
that.
aware that there are two different versions of themselves, but they have no clue what the other version is like. How would you
Yeah.
form relationships? How would you get married?
Your outie can get married, but your innie can't. And your innie doesn't know if you're married or not. Your innie doesn't know if your outie has kids or not.
What if your innie falls in love with someone at work?
It could
Is
happen.
this part of a plot line? Maybe I
it
need to watch
could
this
maybe.
Definitely.
show.
It's really good. Adam
And is that
Scott's in
even
it.
cheating?
John Turturro's in it. Christopher Walken.
I do love Adam Scott. Okay,
It's
I
good.
might look into this.
Yeah.
Might need your lag in.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So in this scenario, not the innie outie scenario, the informational identity scenario, there must exist what the researchers call a non-informational identity carrier, or an NIIC. This could be something like a soul. It could be what's called qualia, a new word. It's a real word. So qualia are the unmeasurable subjective experiences which could be unique to every person. Qualia.
This sounds like Creed
like
trying to
that.
remember what he does for The Office.
Yeah.
Quabity assuance. No, that's not right.
Qualia.
Quabity.
It's also possible that qualia does not exist at all, but it doesn't really matter. Researchers say resurrection in some form should be possible in either scenario. So if no soul exists, resurrection is possible via information preservation. So just the standard, just your basic uploading or quantifiable information to a computer.
Right.
If souls do exist, resurrection is possible via returning of the soul into the new body. But some forms of NIIC are also very fragile and mortal, like continuity, the researchers noted. The problem of the nature of human identity could be solved by future superintelligent AI, but for now it cannot be definitively solved. This means that we should try to preserve as much identity as possible and not refuse any approaches to life extension and resurrection, even if they contradict our intuitions about identity, as our notions of identity could change later. Because they're talking about hundreds, thousands of years down the road, assuming humans last that long.
Yeah. Like the question of if a soul exists is a pretty big one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, but in the future, we might have an answer to that based on technology making it possible to live forever.
Right. Transfer the soul into different vessels.
Mm-hmm.
If it exists. That's cool.
So the main idea of a resurrection simulation is that if one takes the DNA of a past person and subjects it to the same developmental condition as well as correcting the development based on some known outcomes, it is possible to create a model of a past person which is very close to the original.
Cool.
DNA
yeah,
samples.
but you can't replicate every life experience.
That's what they're saying if you can in a simulation.
Right.
DNA samples of most people who lived in the past 1 to 2 centuries could be extracted via global archaeology. After the moment of death, the simulated person is moved into some form of the afterlife, like a simulated afterlife, perhaps similar to his religious expectations, like where he meets his relatives. So you could go back in time or somehow like extract that
DNA
person's
from someone dead.
extract their brain or their DNA, like their life juice at the moment of death, take it out, simulate what they would view as the afterlife, because in order to be resurrected, you have to be quote unquote dead for some amount of time and then come back to life.
So
it's not
when
just
you-
it's not just a continuation of life.
So before you die, you choose from a menu of afterlife options
Oh, I like this.
of what you believe.
Spa day.
While the AI like crafts your new body
Cool.
and then it just plugs you right back in.
I want it.
I mean, look,
sign me
if I
up.
could take my consciousness and move it into a more
working
functional vessel,
I would do it in a heartbeat.
I would also clone
Heartbeat.
my dog in a heartbeat
Oh,
and
yeah.
believe that she would come out pretty much exactly the same as current Josie. But
So this paper says if there will at some point be technology that allows travel to the past, so time travel, then our future descendants will be able to directly save people dying in the past by collecting their brains at the moment of death and replacing them with replicas. And they would do that by sending tiny robots back in time. So just on a...
So now we have time travel technology
in the
600
mix.
years in the future?
Yep. So
A
this is,
lot has to go right for any of this to work.
this is
if
how
we
they
have
would do
time
it.
travel technology 600 years in the future, then we've got time travel technology now, baby.
Now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So this is how they would do it. A nano robot could be sent several billion years from now, where it could secretly replicate and sow nanotech within all living beings without affecting the course of history.
So,
for
I'm
all
glad
we
I got
know,
the vaccine.
it
so that I
already
got
could have
the little
happened.
bots.
There you go.
At the moment
I'm going to
of
get resurrected, bitches.
At the moment of death, such nanorobots could be activated to collect data about the brain and preserve it somewhere until its future resurrection. Thus, there would be no need for forward time travel.
Cool.
Don't some Christians believe that like when Armageddon comes, all the righteous will be resurrected zombie-like? And then I think there was like a big debate about like whether or not
It's already happened.
people, when they were resurrected, if they would be restored to like a healthy version of themselves for Armageddon, or if it would literally just be like piles of bones being resurrected or like rotting
That's-
corpses being resurrected.
Some evangelist shit. I don't.
Right.
Again, I don't care because it's not a thing.
Yeah.
The rapture.
Right.
Yeah. No. I would assume. Well, I mean, like, I don't. There's no answer for that because, like, is there a moment in your life where you are your healthiest?
Like best self.
Yeah. Or if you're a devout Christian and you believe that life begins at conception, what if there was like a stillborn situation? There's just a little fetus up there because that's like the best it ever was.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't think they thought through all the implications.
Clearly not.
Yeah.
But anyway, I thought this nanotechnology robot resurrection shit was really cool.
Yeah, very Matrix.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
sweet dreams. And
Okay.
we
I
might
love it. This
already
comforts me.
be altered by nanotechnology from billions of years in the future. There's
I
no way to
fucking
know.
hope so. That'd be sick.
Well, if so, can it just make me feel a little bit better day to day? That'd be great. Thanks.
Can I get just a little
I don't want
boost?
to live forever. I just want to feel good until I turn into dust.
Well, that's asking too much. I don't know why you would ask for that.
That's
Yeah.
really rude and selfish of you.
Right? Okay. Well done. I apparently have a lot of feels. I don't know. Let's
Don't
see.
cry.
Oh, I'm not going to cry. I'm angry. Okay, well, I'm going to bring us back to a more earthly realm.
A little more current
Fine.
time.
Fine.
Some more hard and fast facts. Although the person that I'm going to talk about definitely has a bit of a god complex, I think.
Okay.
Very self-obsessed. Huge piece of shit.
I thought you were going to say huge penis.
No.
I was very huge penis.
Huge piece of shit.
I was so curious.
And
I was ready.
Willem Dafoe situation.
kind of a mess,
God.
kind of all over the place. Lots of name changes, lots of geographical changes. Just buckle up.
Lots going on. Okay. This is Kenyon's code for just don't ask questions. Just roll with it.
Just roll with it. If you're like, wait, I thought he was in this state. No. Boom. Now he's in this other state. Deal
Do
with
we
it.
know that Willem Dafoe has a big
Nanotechnology.
dick?
Yes.
Oh.
I've talked about this.
I know, but I forget why. How do you know
It's in
that?
that Lars von Trier interview after he did
right.
Antichrist.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
where and Lars von Trier is problematic, but he was like, I had to use
A fake smaller
fake
dick.
penis because it was so alarmingly and distractingly huge that I wouldn't feature it in the film.
I'm going to Google it, see if there's pictures.
Oh my God. Okay. So, not Willem Dafoe. Nicholas Alaverdian
Aloe vera.
Alaverdian was born in Rhode Island in 1987.
Holy Rhode Island.
According to later statements he made, his parents were abusive and alcoholic and, quote, couldn't take care of him. This probably was true. He was removed from his home at a young age by Rhode Island's Department of Children, Youth, and Families, DCYF. And that is confirmed. That happened. And he spent most of his childhood being moved around like various foster homes, group homes, long-term care facilities. He had a rough start.
Okay.
According to one source, Alaverdian's descriptions of his childhood were Dickensian. He alleged like he experienced physical violence, rape, neglect, like long periods of being kept out of school. You know,
Rough stuff.
rough stuff. Foster care, rough stuff.
Also, don't Google Willem Dafoe penis. There's a
I
lot
will
of
not.
lot of images.
Now that is
Now
part
I'm
of your
immediately doing it.
consciousness. And so when you are uploaded, that will be a part of what gets uploaded and
It's part of my
recreated.
qualia.
Qualia.
Ugh, get
Look
it
at
out.
Amanda's face. It's not going to be part of my qualia.
Keep your qualia clean.
No quay, no quow.
What?
Like no way, no how.
Oh.
It was stupid. Okay. All right. But then when Alaverdian was 14, he was hired as a legislative page in the Rhode Island House of Representatives, which I don't really know how that came about. I imagine that's pretty, tough to get that page gig. Somehow he did.
Especially with that background.
Yeah.
Wouldn't
I don't know.
expect him to have like a lot of recommendations from his teachers and stuff.
Right. I don't know how he did it. He weasels his way into a lot of things. So
Okay.
Alaverdian would later say that during this time, he informed lawmakers about the abuse that he was enduring in DCYF care, but he received no assistance from anybody. But that's not quite true because Brian G. Coogan, a Rhode Island representative at the time, did make an attempt to help Alaverdian. So he became close to the teenager throughout the boy's stint in the Page program. And Coogan was like moved by his story, and he began taking action to formally adopt him, but was dissuaded from doing so by a family court judge named Jeremiah S. Jeremiah.
Oh, no.
Okay.
No.
And the judge was like familiar with Alaverdian's past and like his story.
Mm-hmm.
And so the judge warned this rep, Coogan, against adopting him, saying that Alaverdian will, quote, try to undermine you and turn your family upside down, end quote.
My God.
Creepy.
He's fucking
Yeah.
14.
Yep.
Ooh,
And
that's
so-
like some The Omen, like Damien shit.
Yeah.
Mhm. And so Coogan
Wow.
didn't adopt him. So after completing the PAGE program, Alaverdian was sent by DCYF to Boys Town in Nebraska to a center dedicated to the care, treatment, and education of at-risk children. And this facility was founded in 1917, and the original name was the City of Little Men.
Okay.
Ew, God.
Okay, 1917.
Yeah, which just sounds really horrific. So he's sent to some awful boys' school in Nebraska.
Yeah.
Later, he's transferred to Manatee Palms Youth Services in Florida.
Cool.
So he's being shuffled around to these different institutions. Finally, he ages out, goes back to Providence. DCYF actually doesn't send kids to this facility anymore because of the abuse allegations. So he probably did suffer
Yeah.
additional abuse at Manatee Palms. But anyway, he's back in Rhode Island. He's aged out of care. After a handful of years, both back in Rhode Island and then also traveling around the country, he decides to move to Dayton, Ohio, and began attending Sinclair Community College and going by a new name, Nicholas Rossi.
Nick Rossi.
I
Oh
know.
my God. We definitely went to high school with this person.
We went to high school with a Nick Rossi, but anyway, a
Weird.
Blake Blossy. I know.
We
He
already
doesn't-
said it. His
Also
name's
born
your
in
notes.
1987.
He doesn't look like him, though. So that's a relief.
Nick Rossi did try to ruin my family, though.
What?
Just kidding.
I like
Nick
turn my life
Rossi.
upside down. Yeah, he was fine. Okay. So his stint at this community college was short-lived, though. In January of 2008, a young woman who also attended the school went to police to report that she had been sexually assaulted. She described meeting Rossi, or Alaverdian, on campus and agreeing to have lunch with him. After this, he offered to walk her to her next class, but once they were alone in a stairwell, he pinned her against a wall and began groping her and masturbating.
Ew.
Oh, God.
Jesus.
When she tried to push him off, he said, quote, "I'm almost done.
Oh.
Don't be a bitch."
Oh, my God.
Ew, that is so fucking gross.
Oh, my God.
Ugh,
Yep.
Yuck.
He later approached her on campus and apologized,
Uh-huh.
telling her that she was so beautiful he couldn't help it.
No.
It's a compliment. Take the compliment.
It's a compliment to assault you and masturbate to you without your consent.
Well, baby castration is something
An option.
for some people.
And then also in the course of this not at all a fucking apology, asked her not to tell anyone.
Ugh.
She did, though, thank goodness, and reported it, like I said at the top. And Alaverdian, under the name Nicholas Rossi, because he must have had some sort of identity documents that he had somehow procured, because he was arrested and convicted under the name Nicholas Rossi
Okay.
of public indecency and sexual imposition and ordered to register as a sex offender.
Wow.
Well, to get into that school, he must have had some
Yeah.
paperwork.
Yeah. So soon after his conviction, he filed a motion for a retrial based on what he claimed was newly surfaced evidence, which was a post on MySpace
Oh, here we go.
Hard evidence.
Yeah.
that was allegedly written by his victim. It was not, in which he claims she is saying that she made up the incident. So he's like, look, she posted on MySpace and said that she made the whole thing up. I want a retrial.
Yeah, instead of going to the police or anything logical.
A computer forensic expert stated with 90% certainty that the post had been either altered or, quote, fabricated entirely, and the retrial motion was dismissed. So he wrote this post on MySpace and claimed that she had written it.
Mm-hmm.
For a short period of time after the Dayton assault, Aliaverdian studied comparative literature at a Harvard extension program. This is not the same thing as attending Harvard.
Right.
Anyone can sign up for extension classes, and the acceptance rate is 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it's not like a class size, right? Isn't that like an online thing or no?
Yeah, it's like an online thing that Harvard offers for free. You can just like follow the syllabus on your own.
Mm-hmm.
You're not attending Harvard.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Like, it's so it's so frustrating. Anyway, it's fine. Like, okay, fine. I just know a lot of people that have like done shit like this and claim that they
Went to Harvard,
went to Yale. It's like, no, you didn't. I took classes at Harvard. I didn't go to Harvard. The school that's much easier to get into that I got into has a relationship with Harvard and let me take a class there. That's what happened. Anyway. Okay. In 2012, he was administratively withdrawn from these courses when Harvard learned about his sex offender status. So almost anyone can take these classes except for convicted sex offenders.
Right.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Should make that clear.
God.
Still, Aliaverdian would claim for years to be Harvard educated.
Of course.
Jesus. The nerve.
Right.
In 2013, Aliaverdian / Rossi attempted to sue the community college and the Dayton Municipal Court for, like, getting caught having sexually assaulted someone.
What?
And his claim was he was suing them for, quote, making serious life-altering false allegations.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
And he also attempted to sue his victim for libel.
No.
But he'd been convicted, and so both of these lawsuits were dismissed by a judge.
Why are men?
Mm-hmm.
There is a new horror movie coming out that's just called Men.
I know.
I'm so
Ooh.
excited.
I know.
It's a new
I can't
A24
wait.
movie. I fucking
That
love.
sounds awesome. Okay, well, actually, very linked to the next couple sentences. That same year, he wrote an essay blaming his victim for derailing his life, and he titled it My Personal 9/11.
Oh
Wow.
my fucking God.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Oh, that's good. That's good stuff.
In it, he claimed that his sex offender status had radicalized him and made him into a men's rights advocate.
Well, right. Yeah, it's your fault.
Oh,
Yeah.
Lord.
Got it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God.
But don't worry, in the midst of his ongoing struggle to appeal his status as a sex offender, Aliaverdian got married.
There's someone out there for everyone.
I knew that would trigger Amanda.
I hate it.
He married a woman in November of 2010, but only 6 months later, she filed a restraining order against him and initiated divorce proceedings. Don't worry. His love life was still active after that divorce.
Good.
And in
Good.
October of 2015,
Consensually?
I don't know, he married for a second time.
Oh, great.
This marriage lasted 7 months, so he got 1 extra month, before his second wife also divorced him. During divorce proceedings, a judge ruled that Aliaverdian was, quote, guilty of gross neglect of duty and extreme cruelty towards his wife. His second wife described in court how she had met Aliaverdian through the Church of Latter-day Saints when he was pretending to be a Mormon.
I was gonna say, he really does worm his way into a lot of shit.
Seriously.
He's all over the place, and he definitely was looking for like a submissive wife.
Yeah.
Like
That
that's
is
what
clear.
he was doing.
Maybe
Yeah.
multiple
Yeah.
submissive wives.
So she alleged that he became violent towards her the day after they were married, which is actually also a very common abuser tactic, and wanted to control her appearance and confine her to the house. He cut her off from friends and family and controlled her by threatening suicide if she ever tried to leave. So just classic
Yep. All the things.
domestic violence, intimate partner violence stuff. Bingo. By this time, so he goes through all this stuff. He's convicted in Ohio. He's pretending to be a Mormon, getting divorced in Utah. Now he goes back to Providence.
God, he's busy.
That's a lot. No
Lots to
wonder you weren't
unpack.
taking any questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
There
don't blame
ain't nobody got time for that.
No.
He's back in Providence. Now he presents himself as a dedicated child welfare advocate. And he's spending much of his time lobbying local lawmakers to introduce legislation aimed at preventing the abuses that he suffered in the state's care. Which, like, fair enough. I don't think you're the right figurehead. But he did have some success at this, including getting several lawmakers in Rhode Island to propose an emergency oversight commission to monitor the Department of Children, Youth, and Families decisions. So, like, one extra step to kind of go over cases, basically.
Okay.
Then, in a seemingly completely unrelated turn of events, Utah County, Utah elected a new county attorney in 2018. And this guy is named David. I don't know if it's Leavitt or Levitt. I'm going to say Levitt.
Leave it.
Leave it.
Just leave it.
Leave it. Well, Leavitt wasn't going to leave it. He was going to take it up again. So one of his priorities upon taking office was analyzing rape kits that had been languishing untested for years. So get it, David. And upon doing so, the county found that a rape kit from a 2008 assault in Orem, Utah, contained DNA that was in a national database. And it was a match to a man named Nicholas Rossi, who'd had to submit his DNA as part of a 2008 rape conviction in Dayton, Ohio. So I don't think we knew that he was in Ohio or in Utah in 2008, but apparently he was. He just like bounced back and forth a lot.
Maybe he just went for the weekend.
Yeah, he could have. And the police report describes how he raped a woman whom he'd met on MySpace.
No.
Amanda.
Who's still using MySpace in 2008?
Why me?
Yeah, 2000. Yeah, that's true. That's like 4 years late. Isn't it?
I don't know.
No, I mean, it was around for a while.
Yeah. I don't
But-
know.
Yeah, maybe not, but
Still.
2008 feels like a year ago,
Mm-hmm.
and MySpace feels like a century ago.
Yeah. We still had MySpace in 2008 because it did get like changed to more of a music sharing platform, and it's gone through a lot of changes.
Is Tom still around?
I mean, Tom is a retired now travel photographer.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
How do you know this?
Because I
Was he an actual friend of yours?
No, but I like
Wasn't
look
he?
into things from my past with regularity like this because I can't like not know.
He's in your IRL top 10.
Probably.
He's on your speed dial.
Yeah. Get at me, Tom. It's been too long.
Okay, so he meets someone on MySpace and then rapes her, and then years later, the rape kit actually gets tested.
Great.
10 years later, the rape kit actually gets tested.
Jesus Christ. That is so insane.
If they
to
had
me.
tested it at the time, they would have already had his DNA and he could have been caught right away, but they just didn't test it for a decade. So that's a good use of resources.
Let
And
it sit. Just let it sit.
Added trauma for the victim for no reason.
Super
So-
fun.
Nicholas Rossi had been going by yet a different name when he connected with this Utah victim on MySpace. And authorities soon pieced together that he'd been going by a slew of aliases over the past decade. We're not going to get into all of them. And that he could also be linked to police reports of other rapes and sexual assaults, all using different names in Utah, Massachusetts, Rhode Island. We've already talked about Ohio.
So he's just a serial rapist all over the country.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
Cool.
And like fraudster. So this attorney, David Leavitt, later stated in an interview, quote, "What we found was a trail of victims, but we knew that if we charged him and if that were public, we'd never find him." So they didn't want to like put out a warrant for him because he would just
away.
He'd slip away, he'd change his name, he'd go to yet another state, and it'd be even harder to find him. So instead, they continued working quietly to collect enough evidence to tie him to all these various aliases and crimes without him realizing that they'd caught on.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, in January of 2020, numerous media outlets around Providence, Rhode Island, reported that Aliaverdian had been diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And the reason they're reporting on his health is because he'd become this like well-known-ish public figure due to all of his like child welfare reform lobbying.
Fucker.
Okay. I was like, do they normally publish people's medical histories?
Well, he's kind of a well-known figure because he likes attention. But also, it seems he was the one that called news outlets and pressured them relentlessly into reporting on his diagnosis.
What a fucking
my
loser.
God.
What a fucking loser.
At what point does he die?
Yeah, is he dead yet?
Well, then on February 29th, 2020, an online obituary was posted for Aliaverdian on a website called everloved.com.
Gross. Okay.
The first paragraph reads, quote, "Nicholas Aliaverdian's battle for life ended on February 29th, 2020.
Bye.
The children and families in the care of the Rhode Island Department of Children, Youth, and Families, for whom he inspired and led through turbulent government transgressions, have lost a warrior that fought on the front lines for 2 decades."
I can see exactly where this shit is heading.
The obituaries also, that obituary was written very quickly, posted on the same day of his death.
Oh, wow.
Quick thinking. It's like it was ready or something.
Yeah, right?
It's like he wrote it himself.
Crazy.
Wow.
The obituary states that Mrs. Aliaverdian was at his side when he died, along with their 2 children and extended family. None of the reporting on this case mentions Aliaverdian ever having had children. And it's unclear who Mrs. Aliaverdian was.
Is. Yeah.
Because it's neither of his 2 ex-wives.
Didn't even say her first name in the obituary.
Yeah.
Oh
And
my
so
God.
she is most likely a fabrication.
Yeah.
Also, like, he didn't have any extended family. He was, yeah, whatever. The obituary continues. At the time of his passing, the room was filled with the sounds of the end credits.
No.
What?
Of what? What movie? What did he play?
It's just, he wrote an obit in which he fantasizes about a funeral. Anyway, at the time of his passing, the room was filled with the sounds of the end credits for the 1997 film Contact
No.
by composer Alan Silvestri, a film and score which held special meaning to Mr. Aliaverdian.
Looking it up.
Yeah, see if we can play a clip.
I'm gonna play a clip.
Contact. Okay, are we ready?
Yes.
I hope we don't get sued for this.
It's just a clip. You're
It's
not going to
for
get sued for
research.
a clip. No. No. No.
Oh no!
This is so stupid.
Oh, no.
It's not even good. Okay.
It's not even that good.
It
Wow,
goes
that's
on
dumb.
to describe Mr. Alaverdian's last words, which were apparently, "Fear not and run towards the bliss of the sun."
Ugh.
Those were his last words.
It's not even good. God.
And that in keeping with Mr. Alaverdian's wishes, his earthly remains were cremated and his ashes scattered at sea, because he had such a strong connection to the sea.
Oh,
Yeah.
did he?
It also included a quote from Jorge O. Elorza, the mayor of Providence, describing Alaverdian as a, quote, beloved community leader whose selflessness and lifelong contributions to the residents of the state of Rhode Island have earned him the unwavering admiration and respect of many. So supposedly that is a quote about him from the mayor of Providence.
Okay.
When the New York
Show
Times,
me your sources.
Yeah, seriously.
when the New York Times later reached out to verify this comment, Elorza's office did not respond.
Yeah, I wondered.
So Alaverdian's death was reported by multiple news outlets in Providence, but some people immediately had their doubts. His announcement that he was suffering from lymphoma had come almost immediately after he had learned that Rhode Island police had a warrant out for his arrest.
Oh.
And this was for failing to register as a sex offender in the state. And also right after the FBI had initiated a fraud investigation against him.
Got it.
So very convenient time to die.
God, that is a great obit, though.
Respect.
Fear not and run toward the bliss of the sun.
That's so fucking stupid.
His last words.
Okay.
The fraud
Okay.
from the 1997 film end credits.
The end of credits.
Contact.
Okay.
Okay.
So the fraud investigation stemmed from allegations that a former foster mother named Sharon Lane had made that Alaverdian had opened 22 credit cards in her husband's name and incurred nearly $200,000 in debt when he was still like a minor in their care.
Uh-huh.
It's too easy to open credit cards, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Before
so-
you have any credit, it is like the easiest shit in the world.
Yeah.
And that was when he was a teenager. And also probably what that family court judge was referring to when he was like, nah, dude, you don't want to adopt this kid.
He will eat you out of house and home.
Yeah.
Like literally.
So Sharon Lane would also later describe how, after the obituary was posted, Alaverdian's birth mother had contacted her to ask her to look into whether or not his death was true. I don't know if this is true or not. It's unclear, like, if he had any kind of contact with his birth mother. Maybe he didn't, but she still saw the name and then was, like, wanting to
Curious
know
and-
if he
yeah.
was dead. So when Sharon Lane read the obituary and the many, many comments that had been left on it online,
Oh my God.
she became convinced that the style of writing in both could belong to none other than Alaverdian himself.
Oh.
So he had posted his own comments as other users online being like, "You'll be missed."
Oh my God. It's so pathetic.
Mhm.
Oof.
In July of 2020, Rhode Island State Police began looking into the possibility that he had faked his own death.
Mm-hmm.
One piece of evidence that he had, in fact, done so came via an unexpected source. Wikipedia.
Yes.
Our favorite source.
Yeah, up there.
He's so self-obsessed, you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Alaverdian, since his supposed death, had apparently attempted to edit his own Wikipedia page multiple times.
No.
At one point, attempting to replace the picture of himself with the image of a different person so that when he was Googled, they wouldn't see his face.
Oh,
so that he could
my
have
God.
he could continue having aliases.
What a dum-dum.
Dye your
Investigators.
hair.
Seriously.
There are lots of photos of him on the drive, and he kind of has a rubber face.
Oh.
Like, you can tell it's him and everything,
Right.
but he also does look different enough
Uh-huh.
in each photo.
He looks like a little worm.
Yeah.
Oh.
So investigators ultimately concluded that he indeed faked his own death and that he had actually moved to England in 2019, which was before news of his cancer diagnosis and death was reported to the media.
Is this a
Convenient.
picture of him and Mike Pence?
It sure is.
Yes.
Oh, God. No.
Oh,
Mhm.
yes.
I don't know what event that was at. Something.
Ish.
Yep. So he'd moved to England, then found out that there was warrants out for his arrest in Rhode Island, and
Sure.
then faked his death and like called a bunch of news outlets from England and did all of that shit from
Oh,
England.
my God. What a fucking loser.
In England, he married a woman, so third wife.
God damn it. Fuck her. God.
He married a woman named Miranda Knight and began
Miranda, no.
going by the name Arthur Knight. And he apparently told Miranda that he was from Dublin and spoke in a fake Irish accent
Yes.
throughout the entirety of their relationship.
Yes,
Oh,
commitment.
no.
Commit to the bit, baby.
Which,
God,
like,
I love that.
it's one
I
thing
love
to
that.
have a fake Irish accent anywhere else, but imagine trying
In
to pull it off
Ireland?
in the UK.
I know, that's
there are
true,
plenty
yeah.
of actual Irish people. They know what an Irish accent sounds like.
1,000%.
I like
the
that
only
he was
thing
like,
riskier is doing it in Ireland.
You're right.
I like that he's like, I'm a feminist, babe. I'm going to take your last name.
Right. Yeah.
I'm hiding from the law, babe. I'm going to take your last name.
Right. So the two then
Holy
moved to
shit.
Scotland, where Alaverdian told several people he met that he was a professor at the University of Glasgow.
Got it.
They're always a professor.
Right?
They all, like, con artists always pretend to be professors.
He did go to Harvard.
Yeah, cut him some
Yeah,
slack.
he did less than a year at community college in Ohio.
Yes.
Became a sex offender. Attended Harvard.
Became a sex offender.
got kicked out of
Repeat sex offender.
Harvard Online. And
Oh
now
my
he's
God.
a professor.
Harvard Online.
I hate him so much. I really hate him.
Graduated from Havrad University.
Ish.
The logo looks like really similar.
Yeah. This is Havrad.
Same colors.
That's good. I like Havrad University.
Need a
I
Havrad.
like that.
I'm going to need a
Crest.
sweatshirt with the
Go
crest.
Big Rad.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. Havrad
Oh my God. Okay.
I gotta redo my resume.
Yeah, someone please get
Do
to
a-
work on our fake college, Havrad University.
Havrad crest.
Fake
No.
diplomas.
Instead of like established 1633, it's like established 1936.
2022
Established 1106
Oh my God. Okay.
PM.
PM.
So he's in Scotland. He's professing. Meanwhile, his image, fingerprints, and DNA had been provided to Interpol because like investigators in the US knew that he had gone to the UK, but they didn't know
Right.
what fucking alias he was using this time.
Mm-hmm.
So they provided all that stuff to Interpol. Then, on December 13th, 2021, Alaverdian was identified in a Glasgow hospital where he was on a ventilator being treated for COVID-19.
Motherfucker.
Oh my God.
Wow.
And he actually did have COVID,
Yeah.
Oh no.
but that
Holy
is how they
shit.
figured it out.
That sucks for him.
Fucking COVID got him.
So staff
We
at
got
the
him.
hospital identified him by his tattoos, which had been described in the Interpol report, and he had tattoos on his biceps of a barcode and a bird wing,
my God.
Okay, sir.
along with scarring that indicated that he had attempted to have these removed. Don't get tattoos if you're a fucking sex offender con artist.
Yeah, it's
You
like
feel the
that's your
urge to
first
run-
mistake.
To evade
Yeah.
the
If
authorities.
you
Well,
want to have
second
different
mistake.
aliases, don't get tattoos.
Right. You can't have it all.
So he was arrested but remained in the hospital being treated. And 10 days after his arrest, he participated in a hearing via video conference from his hospital bed, which resulted in him some fucking how being granted bail.
Oh, wow.
my God.
According to the prosecutor in the case, he'd been granted bail with the understanding that he would need to remain in the hospital for several more weeks to continue receiving treatment.
Mm-hmm.
So they were like, yeah, grant him bail, whatever. He's not going to go anywhere. He needs to be on a ventilator.
Mm-hmm.
But fucking unsurprisingly to literally anyone familiar with any of his history, he left the hospital the following day.
Yeah, he's not gonna stay.
No.
He lies about everything.
Everything.
Before leaving, he apparently attempted to source a private ambulance and to source oxygen.
Oh.
So he was like, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to get my own fucking oxygen.
Yeah.
And
So he really was quite ill, but he
Yes.
just got out of there. Oh, my
Right, yes.
God.
So then he missed a scheduled hearing in January of 2022. But thankfully, somehow, I don't know how, was rearrested and remanded into custody.
Mm.
So then during a subsequent hearing in a Glasgow court, he insisted that his name was Arthur Knight, and he had never heard of Nicholas Rossi or
sure.
Nicholas Alaverdian.
Okay.
Never heard of him.
Never heard of him. We just have
never heard
identical
of him.
DNA and fingerprints
Oh,
and
it's
faces.
a crazy world. Must have downloaded my consciousness.
Fingerprints. It was the nanorobots.
Never heard of him.
600
in an
years
odd-
in the future, you're going to be eating so much crow.
Yeah, you just wait. 2060, 2060, whatever it is.
2600.
2600.
You're going to be
20.
sorry.
So in February of 2022, there was another court hearing. There are pictures of him. He's in a wheelchair. He wore a towel over his head. And then when he removed the towel, he had this wide brimmed hat on and an oxygen mask.
Like a discount beekeeper costume.
He does look really bizarre.
He
Messed up.
pulled a full Harvey Weinstein
Fuck
Yeah.
that shit. Yeah.
at this hearing to try to look as pathetic as possible.
1,000%.
He has a lap blanket.
Mm-hmm. And as of March 2022, time of this recording, the extradition process against him is still ongoing. His next hearing is in April. I don't know. He's
Wow.
in Scotland.
Wow.
Working on his accent.
That's this guy. So I'm just glad that he recovered so thoroughly from the non-Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Yes.
Oh my God.
It's
He
really a miracle.
bounced back.
It's really a miracle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. Wow.
Yeah, so that's this guy.
I cannot wait to hear what happens at his next hearing.
Yeah. Set that Google alert, baby.
And don't grant this guy any more bail. Okay?
No, fuck this guy.
Yeah, he doesn't deserve any more.
Bye-bye. Okay, I've got a little shorty for you.
Okay.
Today.
Little
And,
shorty.
Do I wish once again that I could just retell my favorite case of the woman who rose from the dead at her own
Yes.
funeral and sent everyone screaming and falling into her grave hole?
My favorite.
Yes, I do, but I didn't do that.
Okay.
I followed the rules. I found a new case, and it's one that is not nearly as Benny Hill theme worthy, but it's still fucking wild.
What episode was that? Do you remember?
I really don't remember.
So, like funny funerals or something? We haven't done that, have we?
Something
Ooh,
wild.
funny funerals would be
I'll
good.
find it, but I like funny funerals. We should do that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
gonna put it on the list.
it's a great. That case and the fucking bridge card game case are my two faves.
that was games gone wrong.
So good.
The bridge game was so good.
So good.
Yep.
But yeah, it's all good. So first we have to travel back to much simpler, much stinkier times, the 1600s. It was the 16s.
It was the 16s.
Not a whole ton is known about Anne Greene, an unassuming woman born in Steeplebarton, Oxfordshire, England, sometime around 1628. And you know what that means?
Yes.
Geography!
Geography. Oh,
Yes.
that means Amanda had to pad her notes. Okay.
Yep.
Steeplebottom is east of Lower Slaughter,
Oh.
south of Bishop's Itchington. Go get that checked out, Bishop.
Washington. Oh, no.
Oh my God.
West of Little Horwood.
I know how the bishop got his
Itchington. And north of Hell Corner.
Oh my God.
Could you imagine
I'm-
living in Hell Corner?
Yes, I'm in it all the time. I need to move to England. I need it. I need Hell Corner on my address.
That is some solid geography.
Such good geography.
Yeah.
So when she was about like her late teens, early 20s, she worked as a scullery maid for a justice of the peace named Sir Thomas Reed.
What is
Scullery-
scullery?
Scullery maids were typically the youngest and lowest in the ranks of like the housekeeping hierarchy.
Oh, so
They
they like
kept
emptied the pot.
fires
Yeah.
going and yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, they're emptying chamber pots and they often were like assistant to the kitchen maid. So they just did all the like bitch work, like
Plucking
prepping
chickens.
and yeah, exactly. So while working for Sir Thomas, his grandson Geoffrey was also living in the home. Geoffrey was a horny teen, 16 or 17 years old, and he took a shine to Anne, and as she would tell it, was, quote, often solicited by fair promises and other amorous enticements.
Ooh.
Right.
So they
A
banged.
tale as old as time.
Yeah, he promised her the world, and she let him in. So they banged, and she fell pregnant.
Oh.
This poor woman didn't even know she was pregnant until she miscarried several weeks later in the privy.
Because it happens quite a lot, Republican legislators.
Yeah,
Sure
fuck
does.
you. She attempted to hide the remains, knowing what this would mean for a young woman unmarried, but she was discovered. The remains were estimated to be about 17 weeks gestation. And despite not having any idea she was even pregnant, and the fact that this was a miscarriage of a completely unviable fetus, she was accused of infanticide.
So it could be Texas in 2022.
Yup.
Yep.
Cool.
Yup. Is this sounding familiar?
Great.
Well, too
Fucking
much.
hate it. Her fucking boss, Sir Thomas, turned her ass in under the legality of the Concealment of Birth of Bastards Act,
Jesus Christ.
a legal
Great.
decree passed in 1624 that basically stated if a woman is concealing the death of an illegitimate child, she had murdered it and would be tried for murder.
Right. So just, yeah, there's no possibility of a miscarriage.
Yep. And
Okay.
if we're basically going to try you for murder if you miscarry out of wedlock, is basically what that means.
Jesus.
So midwives and fellow maids in the household testified in court that the remains were too underdeveloped to have ever been alive. Therefore, Anne couldn't possibly have, quote, killed her newborn child. They also testified that she had felt unwell for about a month, but that like she was still working and never, like she didn't know she was pregnant is basically
Right.
what they were saying.
Yeah. She didn't have any sex education. She
Exactly.
didn't fucking know. She probably was also in denial.
Yep. And it was 15 weeks. I wouldn't know. I don't know if I'd even really notice at that point. I'd be
Yeah.
like, wow, I feel like shit.
Right. You just be kind of like ill.
Yeah. So they testified that she had felt unwell for about a month and that her work in the home unknowingly triggered her labor. So that in their house or like on the property was also like a grain silo where they did like hard labor on malt to basically make beer and shit. So they're working as like scullery maids to maintain this
She's
household.
lifting heavy shit. She's
and
working her ass
exactly.
off.
She's like churning fucking heavy, wet malt,
Yuck.
and she's miscarrying, and it just like sent her. So she went to the privy, and she's like, "Oh my god, what the fuck?" And then she miscarries. So despite facts and expertise, unfortunately, at the time, pretty much all of these facts were presented by working class women. So it's like, okay, well, fuck you. And she was found guilty of infanticide and sentenced to death by hanging.
Oh, my God.
Yup.
And no consequences for the
The horny
grandson.
teenager.
The horny
grandson, the horny teen who coerced her with privilege into having sex.
Yeah. And even if it was completely consensual, like, he has
power over her.
Exactly. And he has no consequences. She's being hanged
Yeah.
for a miscarriage.
Yeah. People don't realize how common miscarriage is.
Extremely. So she was taken to the gallows at Oxford Castle on December 14th, 1650, at only 22 years old. Quote, one witness described Anne's appearance as fat and fleshy, of a high sanguine complexion.
What up?
Fucking rude. Also high. She bequeathed her clothes to her mother, and her last words, according to another witness, condemned the lewdness of the family wherein she lately lived.
Yeah, fuck
Point
those
some
guys.
blame back at them.
Yeah,
for
she's like,
sure.
fuck you, Reeds.
It takes
You're the
two
reason
to
I'm here.
tango.
1,000%. So Anne did not want to endure a long and painful death by the noose, so she actually asked her friends and family who were present at her execution to, like, make sure to speed it up. So, like, to tug on her legs and speed up the process.
Oh, my God.
They did, but still she flailed.
Oh.
A soldier stepped in and hit her multiple times with the butt of his musket. They tugged and swatted at her like a fucking piñata for over half an hour before she finally went still and was pronounced dead by the sheriff.
Oh, my God.
That's what hanging used to be like, because it was before, I'm pretty sure it was before they invented the, like,
Gallows
thing where the floor comes out.
She was, like, on a bucket and they kicked the bucket, basically, is what it was.
Right. Or they would just, like,
Or a
pull
ladder.
someone up and then they would
string them up.
slowly suffocate or
Yep.
asphyxiate. Whereas, like, if you drop the
you
floor
break
out,
your neck. Yeah.
exactly, and it's
Whoa.
in theory it doesn't work every time,
Yeah.
and it's quicker.
That is
So this
gnarly.
account says, quote, she was turned off the ladder hanging by the neck for the space of almost half an hour. Some of her friends in the meantime thumping on her breast, others hanging with all their weight upon her legs, sometimes lifting her up and then pulling her down again with a sudden jerk, like trying to break her neck.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Whereby the sooner to dispatch her out of her pain, the undersheriff, fearing they should break the rope, forbade them to do so any longer. Don't fuck with my ropes.
Oh, my God. That is so brutal. Can you imagine being like her mother?
Yeah, pulling on her like that to end her pain. I mean, it'd be fucking horrific.
It is fucking horrific.
And everyone in town is just out there watching, making a party out of it.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So
I
she
wanna
was
go.
taken.
I don't want time travel. I don't
I
want
know.
that again.
Well, we're not going back here. We'd be fucked immediately. Which,
We're
Yeah.
clearly witches.
yeah,
Yeah.
Slutty
So-
ones.
very. She was taken down from the gallows, placed in a simple wooden coffin, and taken to the local coroner's house for, like, storage before autopsy. Though they knew her cause of death, it wasn't uncommon for the bodies of executed, quote, criminals to be dissected for scientific purposes, excuse me, before burial.
Yeah, it was like just a free body to poke around and look
Oh, yeah.
at.
I mean, this was actually a law in this area at the time, and any person executed within a 20-mile radius of Oxford automatically became the property of the university's anatomy department, and they would host these dissections in a surgical theater for other students to watch.
Cool.
So the next day, Anne's body was put on a surgical table and wheeled into the surgical theater for exactly that. Students looked on, and Anne's family and friends were also allowed to sit in on the procedure. These were different
Why?
times.
Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
Just another minute
I
with her.
probably would have, but
I would too. Probably want as much time with your loved one before they're buried.
After
Yeah,
that
watching them
death,
get
I
cut
don't
apart.
know.
I mean, I'm not going to begrudge any loved one for
Right.
anything that went
Maybe they just wanted
on.
to like keep an eye on her. Maybe it was
Right.
like a protective thing.
Maybe.
it's just hard to even comprehend.
Well, they had a real show. So as the university physician took his scalpel to her chest, he heard a guttural sound emerge from Anne's throat. So he hadn't cut her yet. He was like getting ready to do it.
And then there was
my
like
God.
a burp.
Yeah.
Burp.
Basically. Then the
God.
distinct rising of the chest as she suddenly struggled to breathe.
Oh my God.
They checked her pulse, and sure enough, her heart was beating.
So this was the next day.
The next day.
Wow.
So this report said, quote, the coffin being opened, she was observed to breathe, which being observed by a lusty fellow who stood by, he thinking to, I don't know. I don't think they're using the word lusty in the way that we perceive it. He, thinking to do an act of charity in ridding her out of the small relics of a painful life, stomped several times on her breast and stomach with all the force he could, end quote.
Asshole! What the fuck?
Well, without realizing it, the dude who was trying to put her out of her misery actually jump-started her heart back into a strong rhythm.
He
So
CPR'd
it was like
her.
it was like CPR before they fucking knew what CPR was.
Oh my God.
And this was the late 1600s, so the first thing they did was pour, quote, hot and cordial spirits down her throat, so like hot toddies. Then they bloodlet
Throw some
her.
liquor down her. I don't fucking know.
This bitch needs a drink.
Warm up some schnapps. This bitch needs a drink.
Have
Then they
you
gotta
thought
drain the
about
bad
a blood
blood.
orange mimosa with just like a hint of Grand Marnier?
Fucking
A
yum.
whisper of Grand Marnier. She's gonna love this.
Open your gullet, Anne. We know
It's
you
a
like
long
this.
week. She's earned it.
Oh, this will get her back up and dancing. Let's go. So then they bloodlet her, and then they warmed. Of course, it's the 1600s. Then they warmed her back up by apparently putting her in bed with, quote, a warm woman. I want all of this treatment.
That sounds like a spa day.
That sounds
Yeah, so
nice.
the woman would like
She
warm
basically
her
got
up
like
and
a
like
deep
rub her
tissue
limbs.
massage.
Yeah,
a
literally.
cocktail.
A cocktail, and then
bled out a little bit. Let the bad
to
blood out.
snuggle with a woman.
Yeah. So
don't hate
treatments
it.
continued over the next several days, including continued hot cordials, hot enemas, and tickling her throat with a feather.
People didn't know what the fuck they. Oh my god!
That sounds really nice.
It's just it's so class.
Can you imagine?
Cordials,
Hot booze.
enema.
Hot enema.
Being put in bed with a warm woman.
I don't know, tickler.
I don't know. You got a feather? Sounds like it worked.
So classic, but also
it didn't work. She's
throwing
just
shit at the
incredibly
wall.
resilient.
No.
It's not the tickling with a feather isn't what saved her.
Oh,
Sounds
God.
like
the
it
enema.
worked.
It was the hot enemas.
Oh my god, sounds like it worked. Oh, have you tried
So
Manuka
much
honey?
faith in the enemas.
Next time Corey has a man cold, a man
Tickle
flu,
him with a feather.
I'm just gonna.
Just do this. Just do this whole treatment. Bloodletting, cordials,
Dump
hot
some
enema.
Hot
give him a
spirits.
hot enema.
I'll be the warm woman.
Yep.
Oh my god, I choked on my own laughter. Okay.
A hot
Soon,
enema.
yeah.
I know what'll fix you.
I got it. I'm ready. But soon she was strong enough to eat and speak and move about on her own. There's a report that's like, within 4 days, she could eat an entire chicken. It's like, yeah, bitch was hungry.
Within 4 days.
There were rumors that she remembered being, quote, in a fine green meadow with a river running round it, and that all things were there glittered like silver and gold.
And then they're shaking in their boots because they're like, oh shit, she went to heaven.
Right.
So we
But-
shouldn't kill her.
Well, yeah. One contemporary pamphlet, written by Richard Watkins, called News from the Dead, and there's a photo of it on the drive. It's incredible. It's so creepy. Refutes this. It's fairly certain that she remembered nothing between her last hours in prison and her reawakening, but for a fleeting memory of the hangman. But now the question was, what do we do about her charges?
Yeah, are they just dropped?
Yep.
Well, it depends. Is that why they say hanged until dead?
I mean, it must be, but like, fortunately for her in this situation, the courts were like, well, she did get her punishment.
Yeah.
So like, we're going to let this one go and just let her live her life. But she was actually pardoned entirely for her alleged crime and sent on her merry way. And a lot of this is because they truly believed that God herself had pardoned her and saved her life.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
like, who were the courts to defy God in the 1600s? They were like, God chose her. We can't send her back to the gallows.
It's like the beginning of practical magic.
Pretty much. And added bonus, Sir Thomas, the fucker who turned her in, died of a heart attack within days of Anne's botched execution.
Oh, good.
So while she was in the hospital getting hot enemas and rubbed by a warm woman, he died cold in his bed.
Rubbed by a warm
Fucker.
woman.
He actually died.
Yep. Bye-bye. So Anne went off to live with family and friends in the countryside, taking her coffin with her. And striking up an
Property?
Yeah, it's hers. She took it with her and struck up an enterprise with her father to market the coffin as a tourist attraction.
Oh, good for her.
So they'd take a few pence to like touch the coffin and hang out with it.
Oh my God.
God bless her. She's an entrepreneur.
That is my kind of tourist attraction.
Seriously, I know. I want to go. Her story was a bit of a sensation, inspiring medical pamphlets and poetry across England. And one anonymous poet wrote, quote, Anne Greene was a slippery queen. In vain did the jury detect her. She cheated Jack Ketch, who I think was the executioner. Mm-hmm. And then the vile wretch scaped the knife of the learned dissector.
Oh my
Ooh, love that.
God.
She was a slippery queen.
God.
I know. I love Anne Greene, the slippery queen. So Anne Greene, like I said, went on to marry and have 3 children, but unfortunately passed while in labor with her third, they believe, in 1665 at about 37 years old.
Wow.
Which, you know, in the 16s, that was kind of a full life.
Yeah.
She lived a lot in that 37
she lived a lot
years.
more.
2 full lives.
Literally, she lived and died and lived to die again.
Wow.
Yeah.
I hope her second death was quicker than the first.
It was probably not great if she died in childbirth. That's
Yeah,
like
probably not.
probably a pretty painful way to go.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? At least the second time the good Lord took her,
She got, what's 37 minus 22?
there you go.
She got that many extra years.
Yep. To have some kids and go live her
15.
life and make that coffin money.
Yeah, that sweet, sweet coffin coin.
That sweet, sweet coffin money. So that is Anne Greene, the slippery queen.
God
Wow.
bless Anne Greene.
Love
I know,
it.
isn't that,
That was
so
a good
good?
one.
Well,
I love
Jesus.
that case. I know. It was short, but I couldn't not pick it. It was too
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, you had to.
Jeez. I wonder,
Love.
it must have been something with the rope. Like the rope must have been like too thick or something.
I don't know.
And it was like propping her up by like the chin or.
Mm-hmm. There's
I
a
have
really,
no idea.
really creepy, like, wood cutting sketch on the drive of the scene.
Like tugging her down,
Mm-hmm.
hitting
Yeah.
her with a musket.
Behold God's providence.
Yuck. Yuck.
Poor
Is that her in
thing.
bed with the warm woman?
Probably.
Yeah. Looks like it.
probably. I think so. I love it.
God,
It's
I would
amazing.
be
I
in
want
bed
this
with a warm woman.
framed in my home. Oh, I love it. Anyway, that's
right.
her. That's my girl.
Well
Nice
done.
work. This was
Thank
a
you.
fun topic, I think.
So fun.
Okay. Well, we'll talk to you next week.
Happy
we will.
Easter.
Bye-bye.
Bye.